Hello everybody, this is Serpent, and in this video I'll be showing you how to get started in using Graphing Calculator SD. So this is a fresh installation. I'm going to extract it, and all we have to do now is double click the jar to start the program up. So the first thing you'll see is this little notification that you need to agree to the EULA. So you should read the EULA, agree to it if you want to agree to it, and then we can move on to using the program. So this is the main menu. And if you want to start graphing stuff, you should click on Workspaces. A workspace is just a large space in which you can do work. It's a working area where you can organize a bunch of graphs together. I've got a couple demonstration workspaces here, and if you click on one, it'll show up in this text box over here, and you can view the graphs inside it. The simple one is a good one to start with. However, I'm going to show you how to actually start graphing yourself, and so we're going to make a fresh workspace to work in. To do that, click on the New Workspace button and enter our workspace name. Let's say Fresh. And I know these are all unlabeled, but if you hover over the tooltip area of any of these elements, you can see what's expected from you. So hovering over the far right of the text box tells us that this is the name of the workspace that we're going to be making. And hovering over this button tells us that it's the skybox. So this is the background of the workspace. We have a good number of options here, and you can make your own, but that's a topic for another video. Now that workspace is visible in our list here. So click on it, you can see it's empty, and then we can enter the workspace to start graphing. So the first thing you see is not very much, and that's because there's nothing to see in the workspace. Like I said, it's empty. We want to make a graph and put something in it. So to make a new graph, press N. It's likely that when you make a graph, your screen changes color and it looks confusing, and that's because you're inside the graph. So just press one of the movement keys, WASD, space or control, and you'll soon exit the graph because they're not very big. So now we have an empty graph. Let's click on it, and that opens up this editing interface. So let's graph something simple. How about y equals x plus z? Well, how do we do that? Up here you'll find a number of blocks, and since we want x plus z, we'll take out the plus operator. And you can see there's a tooltip if you hover over that to tell you how it works. The addition of slot 1 and slot 2 means that this operator will take slot 1 and slot 2 and add them together. Okay, so how do we get x and z? We take a value block. This holds a number or a variable. And then we go over to this text field, tooltips all around, of course, and input what we want to put in the value. In this case, it's x. So x plus, and then let's grab another one, and z in that one. Now we have y equals x plus z. Over here we can determine which variable is the output variable. In this case we want y, that's the vertical one. And now that we've got it all set up, let's click done. You can also press enter to enter changes. Very nice, very nice. And we can maneuver around this graph by using the movement keys that I mentioned before, WASD, space, and control. Now, it's a little bit jittery, and that's because the sensitivity is high. If you want to change the sensitivity, which is something you're likely to want to do, press Escape to open the pause menu, then go to Options, World, and Sensitivity Scale is the number you want. I found about 0.5 is good for my mouse setup. There we go. Now it's a bit less jittery, easier to aim with. Okay, so that's pretty nice, and that's about all I want to show you in this video. But before I let you go, I want to mention a couple things that might make your life easier. So these numbers are all confusing, unlabeled, but if you go over to the right of the text field, it shows you some very useful information. And you should be able to use that to figure out what needs to go in what. The most important ones are domain over here. This is the domain of x and domain of z. Or if you're switching coordinate systems, it does also update the tooltips. This bit here is the step count, and that will allow you to increase the resolution of the graph rather nicely. You can also give the graph a name with this text field here. And over here are some various toggleable prettification options, which again, the tooltip tells you about. And probably the one you'll be most excited about is the color by slope option, and that'll tell you what the slope of the graph is at a given point. Let's use maybe an x times z for this one, because that'll have a variable slope. And there you go, colored by slope. And one more thing you might find useful is this little button over here, calculate the function at a given position and display exact number. So if we want to calculate the function and get an exact number for a given position, that's the way to do it. So let's see what this function is equal to at x equals 2, y equals 4, and z equals 5. You do have to enter y as well. It's all 3 coordinates, and you can see the order in which you're supposed to enter them by hovering over this tooltip here. It's fairly standard, x, y, z. So calculate that, and 2 times 5, x times z, is 10. This is also where the answer block comes in handy. It's also certainly worth mentioning that there are quite a number of help and information articles available right in the app, which can be accessed simply by going to the pause menu, pressing help info, and then clicking on one of the entries. So then, hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully it was useful, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.